Buenos dias and welcome back to the Vuelta España 2024. A lot has changed over the rest day. We've gone from the hot south in Andalusia, a 10-hour drive transfer way up here to the northwest in Galicia. But some things haven't changed because it's Wout van Aert still winning. Today picking up his third stage in this year's Vuelta, his debut Vuelta España here in Baiona. And this is the place where the first of Christopher Columbus's fleet came back after they found the new land, Americas. Here in Baiona, that's where the ship landed. But today, it's where Wout van Aert landed his third victory ahead of Quentin Paché, the Frenchman racing for Groupama FDJ, and Wout van Aert celebrating for Team Visma Lease Bike. And right there on the finish line, his wife, his two boys as well. We can remember her pregnant with one of their boys at the Milano San Remo when he picked up that win in 2020. Well, they're grown, and here they are today, still celebrating their dad, still winning, and today he picked up his 49th career win on the road. This stage, it was short and punchy, 160 kilometers, a Cat 2 climb to kick things off, a Cat 3 climb later on, then a Cat 2, and then the final kicker, that Cat 1 climb, the Mugas, that left 20 kilometers to race. It was on that first categorized climb before the valley and those final three categorized climbs that the breakaway started to take shape. It was Van Aert in the green jersey, a points leader here in his debut Vuelta España that was off on the charge. Also joining him, a rider in his debut Vuelta España, like Wout, also a Belgian, William Junior Lesurf, around 20, 21 years old, racing for T-Rex Quick Step, a young talent to keep an eye on. Also in that group was a cagey old veteran, Marc Soler, racing for Team UAE Emirates, has something like 14 Grand Tours done so far in his career. Those three charging up the road. They would be joined by two more back behind. It was Quentin Paché, who would later challenge Wout van Aert for the stage victory, and also Jori Holman. Holman as well in his debut Grand Tour, riding for Team Alpecin. Those five would link up and they would gain somewhere 4.5 minutes in that valley, and then it was going to go up to 6 minutes. Back behind, it was Decathlon doing the work for Red Jersey, rider from Perth, Australia, Ben O'Connor. Also in the mix, well, was Red Bull working for their team leader, Primoz Roglic, and Richard Carapaz, protected by his team in pink, EF Education, Easy Post. Over the first two climbs, the group was establishing itself up front, and we could see that Wout van Aert was really on a strong day. Pay attention though, because it was that intermediate sprint before the final climb where Wout van Aert launched his attack that would pave the way towards victory. He knew he needed to get rid of Soler and Lesurf before that final climb. Those guys are better climbers on paper than Wout van Aert. Wout van Aert, though, is a heck of a rider, super rider, winner of classics like the Milano San Remo we mentioned, and winner throughout the Tour de France. But here he's finally picking up Vuelta España stage wins. So he attacked right after picking up more points in the intermediate sprint, heading up onto the climb. Only Paché could follow, and he had to put in a heck of a dig to get on Wout's wheel, and then the climb kicked up right away, 9.9 kilometers. We were watching the other teams going over that penultimate climb. Then we saw the road narrow and a crash of 2 or 3 riders, and the worst off seemed to be the Lotto Destiny rider, Sylvain Maniquet, there in the ditch. Let's hope he's gonna be okay to be able to continue on in this Vuelta España. And up ahead, it was Team EF Education, Easy Post. Remember, I mentioned them before because on that last climb, when they got to that last climb, after the descent, the intermediate sprint, it was EF Education that was doing the work. Zapata setting up for his countryman, the Ecuadorian rider, Richard Carapaz, trying to do something here. Richard Carapaz, of course, past winner of the Giro d'Italia, really trying to put down the hammer for Team EF Education, Easy Post, setting things up, perhaps not for today, but for the future stages to come, because everybody has their heads and minds on Primoz Roglic, how his back is holding up after his crash in the Tour de France, and how Ben O'Connor will maintain himself over the 11 stages to come. Nothing ever happened in that GC group behind. Instead, it was attention up to the front group. Wout van Aert was riding steady, doing good pulls with Paché, but behind, Lesurf was getting tired of what was going on. They had already distanced Holman, and Lesurf was ready to distance, and he did distance Marc Soler. They would come back together there at the top, and also Holman would eventually join before the descent and the finish, but those riders were not going to pick up our duo up front, who had around about this time 1 minute gap on the trio behind, and the peloton was much further back. None of the 5 riders were ever a threat in the GC, so there was no need to charge for the GC teams. Wout van Aert, in theory, would have this one easy peasy. Quentin Pache has never won a race in his career. Wout van Aert has won 48 career wins on the road. But he needs to pay attention because Pache, we saw that long speed acceleration behind Wout van Aert's wheel and then shot past him, but Wout van Aert just powered right back to him, right up back to Pache's rear wheel and made it look easy. And then from there, 1.7 kilometers to the finish, Pache tried to get Wout van Aert to come up to the front, but Wout van Aert said, hey man, you attacked me, why should I come to the front and help you pull now? And then Wout van Aert charging here to the finish line, embracing with his wife and his 2 boys, celebrating a 3rd victory in this Vuelta España. I asked him afterwards, Wout van Aert, how come you've never come to this Vuelta España before? And he said, yeah, I'm wondering that now myself. I also asked him about the upcoming European Championships. He's racing there, and he has eyes on the World Championships to help out Remco Evenepoel. Quentin Pache, we spoke with him there at the finish line, and he said, look, I don't know if I ever had a chance against Wout van Aert, but it was better to be up the road with him than to not be there. And he was coughing so much in that interview. Finally, they got him a bottle of water and he was okay. Wout van Aert celebrating on the top of the podium. Another day in the red jersey for Ben O'Connor, who's looking oh so confident as the race rolls on towards the final day in Madrid. His wife and kid are celebrating at home in Andorra, the principality between France and Spain. And back in Perth, Australia, they're cheering him on. But today, it's celebration for Wout van Aert, the big guy in his debut in the Vuelta España. 3rd stage win, more points for the green jersey, celebrating here in Baiona.